In this video, I demonstrate how to compete in a live race in iRacing with no risk at all to your safety rating or your iRating, and using the new iRacing UI for Season 2 2025. And all this from an older gamer's perspective. Once you know the series you want to race, practicing with that track and car combination using the new iRacing UI for Season 2 2025 can be done in a variety of different ways by simply clicking on the race itself to expand the various options available to you. You can start out with the simple practice lap using the new More Ways to Race drop down to select a test drive using the same track conditions as the event, or do the same thing to set up an AI race by selecting Race Against AI from this menu. Practice laps are definitely good for learning the track, working out braking points and other factors you need to install into your muscle memory. Those points of learning can be complicated when you enter a live race and other cars want to use the exact same racing line or braking point as you. AI is good for working on just these issues, but AI doesn't drive nearly as realistically as everyday iRacing subscribers. All of that being said, there is a third option that many people don't even know about, and that's joining a live race as a ghost car, allowing you to practice your race skills with actual people, but without the risk to your safety rating and without the risk to your iRating. But how can you access this wonderful way of racing without risk?
They're taking a risk.
Accessing a live race as a ghost car. The way you access ghost cars is very easy, if a bit fiddly, and also requiring you to twiddle your thumbs a bit, waiting for the race to actually start. To begin with, go to the iRacing scheduler and find the race you are interested in. Here I have some races displayed filtered using the favorite option. Now click on the actual name of the race, not the green register button. What you need to do here is show the race details. Once you have that displayed, then you need to wait for the race to actually start. You can watch this timer to see when it counts down, but that's only if you want to join a race from the very beginning. You can hop into any race that's already running. Before that point where the race timer has expired, the options to join a new race will not be accessible to you, although, as I said, you can join races that are midway through. So here you can see the time to join the race has finally expired, but that's okay because, as I just said, we need this to happen if we want to join as a ghost from the start of the race. Now that's happened, click on the Start Spectating button here in the new UI, and you'll be taken to a second window where you will need to use these arrows to scroll through to find the race you are interested in. Here you can also decide which split you want to join based on the strength of field indicator shown at the bottom. Once you have made your decision, click on the blue watch button to join the server, choose a car if prompted, and then select the normal way you enter the sim, which for me is in VR via OpenXR, but of course this will also work with monitors as well. Once the race session is loaded, you can use the camera controls to move around the track and even ride along with the other racers, or just look at the track from the air. This is Silverstone in the UK, which is really enormous. We have lots of interesting features hidden away behind the circuit barriers. I wonder if one day we will see go-kart tracks in iRacing. Anyway, at some point, qualification for this race will end and the race begins to grid up. At this point, you should click on the test drive button at the top of the interface, and you will then appear in the pits in your car waiting for the race to begin.
So, this is the pit.
Best way to use the ghost car experience. Sitting in the pits, you will have to wait for the race to start, either from the grid or a rolling start. Either way, you won't be able to engage first gear before the green flag drops. You will know when this happens if you have the spotter on, as he will announce this, and also you will actually then be able to put the car in gear. Once this happens, you are then free to drive out of the pit lane, where you will see the other cars come rushing by. So now that you are in the race, how do you get the best out of your ghost car experience? The thing you need to remember about being a ghost car is none of the other drivers can see you or interact with you. And although you can see the other drivers, you also cannot interact with the other cars on the track. If a car is in your way, you will simply go through it. And also, of course, they can go through you if you are in their way. This obviously creates some limitations on how to practice a real race and will require some role playing on your behalf. In other words, getting the most out of your ghost car experience requires a little imagination. So, if you are side by side with another car, for example, give them as much room as you would do in order to avoid collision in a real race. The same theory for following a car into a corner and giving them room to maneuver, or finding that sweet spot to perform an overtake. Basically, run the race as though you are not a ghost and that any collision could send you off track. In this way, you can start to get an idea of how to react at various parts of the course and also get into the habit of knowing where drivers are likely to be coming out of corners faster than you or conversely braking earlier than you. I like to let the first lap of the race go by to sort the wheat from the chaff and then tuck in behind, say, position number 5 and follow them around, getting an idea of their driving lines, their braking points, and also those corners where they lift and don't brake. Always a good way to gain time. In this way of just following people, of shadowing them around the track, you can learn an awful lot about the track. More so than if you're in an AI race. Definitely more than if you're in a practice session.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Limitations of the ghost car experience. So being a ghost car means racing without risk, and that's great, but there are some limitations to using iRacing in this way. For a start, you aren't going to see any incident points appear in your black box if you go off track, and that can be really annoying for those courses where a slight infraction can cause an off track to occur, and so you won't really learn about those issues on this track using this method. There is also no way to see your lap times in sim as they are not recorded, which is really annoying, and I do hope iRacing address this limitation in the future. The telemetry is also not recorded with third-party apps like Garage 61, which again is frustrating and very much a negative point to using the ghost car system. If you can't analyze your racing after the race, it's very difficult to see where you can improve, and that unfortunately is a big limitation of the ghost car experience.
You know I hate negativity.
Conclusions. So given all of this, would I recommend the ghost car experience? I think if you combine ghost car races with practice sessions and AI races, then sure, it is something that could be useful to you. If nothing else, the ghost car experience is a great way to just drop into a weekly session and see what the actual series experience is going to be like without risking iRating or safety rating. Anyone who sim races will tell you every series has its good and bad points, and using a ghost car can give you some insight into a specific race series before you commit yourself to a live race. That being said, the lack of lap times or any recorded telemetry at all does restrict how ultimately useful the ghost car experience can actually be. If there is no way to see how fast your laps are or where you are making mistakes, all you really have is what amounts to a taster session of a particular series on a particular track. And while this could be useful after a fashion, having access to some basic telemetry from that season would give the ghost car experience a huge increase in value. At the moment, it's fun, perhaps informative to a degree, but not as helpful to becoming a better driver as it could be. Maybe the adaptive AI in Season 2 of iRacing for 2025 will help out with some of this, or perhaps iRacing will look at including the telemetry for this ghost car experience in a future version. I do hope they do. Let me know in the comments if you use or plan to use the ghost car experience as part of your weekly practice routine, or indeed let me know what your practice routine looks like. In the meantime, I hope you found this video helpful, and until the next one, race clean, and I'll see you on track. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.